Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of the Under Eagle Mountain Making podcast. Hello, my name's Laura, and I live in West Yorkshire in the UK. And this is my podcast where I talk about all the things that I've made, or I'm making, or I'm hoping to make in the future. There is a lot of knitting, but there's also sewing, and some other things will probably come up as we go along. So let's get right into it with my first finished object, which is not a total success. It was not a particularly enjoyable project, if I'm being totally honest, and I'm not that pleased with the outcome. It is a present for my daughter, and she's quite pleased, but she hasn't worn them yet because I've been waiting to show them, and we'll have to see. I might have to do some re-knitting. So it's these socks. These are like obviously an odd pair of socks. They're purposefully odd. They are knitted out of a sock yarn, so it had 25% nylon, which is the first reason I didn't really like it, and the second reason was that there was a superwash treatment on the merino, so it feels really slippy in your hands, and it's not something that I particularly enjoy. But we bought the yarn. It's from a company called Felt Fusion, and we bought it at Yarndale, which is like a little yarn festival in Skipton, and that's held in September. And my daughter and I have been going together for quite a few years now. It's like a little special day out that we have, and she saw this and she loved it straight away because the name of it is Wednesday's Window. So if you watched the Netflix series Wednesday Addams shares a room with a girl called Enid, and Wednesday is all black and white and Enid is all really bright colours, and they have this huge window in their bedroom, and half of it's black and white and half of it's brightly coloured. So that's what the colourways were. So I knitted them up. It didn't take long. I did it over the Easter weekend, really. I did both of them across the week, but they're totally different sizes. I'll put a picture in so you can see. This is before blocking, but even after blocking, even though I blocked them like on top of each other and I really stretched out the coloured one, it is way smaller, and actually it feels really different. This feels really floppy and drapey, and like the gauge is quite open. It's almost like they were knitted on bigger needles, but they weren't. They were knitted on exactly the same needles. So I contacted the company, the dyers, not to moan or complain or anything, and I think they thought I was asking for my money back, which ultimately they did offer me, but I declined because that's not what it was for, and I do still have the socks. It was just to let them know that if you're selling 2 skeins of yarn together to make socks, you need to make sure that they knit up at the right gauge, and they don't. And the reason I personally think they don't is because different dyes affect the yarn in different ways, and they can change how the yarn handles and how it knits up. And it's something I've experienced with stuff that I've dyed, and it's something that I've heard a lot of like yarn producers or dyers or knitters talk about. And it didn't occur to me that I should have swatched with each wool, even though I know that I should have swatched with each skein, but I didn't. I only did it with this one, and I got gauge, although I actually prefer the gauge of this one. It's got more negative ease, so it stretches over the foot, whereas I think this might feel a bit loose. But anyway, I contacted her, and she wasn't especially happy when I suggested that they were different. She said that she'd knitted up a pair and they were exactly the same, but then went on to say that it was on a different base. The yarn was a different base, so obviously that does make a difference. But this doesn't have that much dye on it. It just has the one dye on the black. There's still a lot of the undyed yarn, whereas this has obviously got loads and loads of different dyes put on it, and it has changed the way that the yarn feels. So I just wanted to let her know, and she did say, after we'd had this back and forth, she did say that she's now put it on the website that there might be a difference, and that she would tell people when she sold at shows. So that's all I really wanted, because it is a bit disappointing. You can see, if I do this, you can see how different it is. She did try and tell me that it was my gauge, that maybe I was in different moods when I knitted both socks, and that could affect my gauge. And I wasn't really having that, not in the space of a week, and not when each sock is like consistent in itself. So yeah, I have a feeling that once my daughter tries them on, I'm going to have to re-knit that sock on smaller needles so that they match and so that it's comfortable to wear, because I think that one is a bit, I think it might slip around on a foot or inside a shoe, which then means you're more likely to get holes if your socks don't fit tightly to your feet. So that's that. Not a massive success, and possibly not actually finished if I have to redo it, but finished for now. My next finished object is a sewing project, and that is also for my daughter. She's very lucky. And it is a skirt. It's going to be difficult to show a whole skirt, I think, on screen. So I will put a picture up, and I've also put some pictures on my Instagram this morning. So you can have a look there. Can you see that? So it's just an elasticated band, and then it has this asymmetric hem, so it's shorter at the front and longer at the back, and it has this really lovely ruffle all the way around. It's called, now I'm assuming it's called low high because of the low high hem, and it's from Tauco magazine, from their issue 11, which comes out today. So I was lucky enough to be part of their make and share, which is when you apply and they send you the patterns in advance, well, pictures of the patterns, and you choose one, and they send you the pattern pieces and the instruction just over the, in an email, and you make the pattern up in advance. So it's a bit like a test knit with knitting, except whilst they do welcome any feedback if you found a problem or if there was something that you didn't like, mostly it's just so that they've got samples made up so that when you have pattern release date, which is today, they've got some examples that they can show. And then you get like a thank you. They'll give you, I think they give you a £20 voucher towards patterns, like other of their patterns. When they sent me, I showed my girl all the patterns, all the choices, and this is what she chose, and it's in a really nice like hand block cotton. It's quite light, from a shop called Cloth London. I just noticed a straight thread which I'm gonna snip off, and it's sort of black and grey and cream with this bit of like denim-y blue in it, which matches really nicely the cotton vest that I knitted her, that I showed on the last podcast. So it'd be a really nice summer skirt. I gave it to her on Easter Sunday, and she wore it, and it was not, we were at my mum's, and it was not very warm and summer skirty type weather, but she put it on with black tights and that little black tulip jumper that I knitted her for Christmas, and a pair of boots, and she looked really good. So I'm pleased that it'll kind of she can kind of layer it up underneath and over the top, and it'll not just do for summer weather. So yeah, if you fancy making that, it's like a zero waste pattern. I was saying this to somebody the other day. I find the phrase zero waste a bit funny. I think it's low waste. I'm not sure it's really zero waste, because you start off with measurements. You need like so many centimetres that way and so many centimetres that way, and then you cut out from that, and there is no waste from that. But unless you happen to have a piece of fabric that is exactly those measurements, then you do get some waste. But it's usually in nice rectangular pieces, so it's easier to deal with than those funny pieces that you have from traditional cutting patterns, like when you cut round pockets or like the gusset of a trouser or something. So, but it's really an easy pattern. It's a good pattern, and she's really pleased with it, so that's a win. And then my last finished object is a pair of knickers, which I have not worn because I decided I would feel really weird about showing knickers that I'd already worn. So they're clean. These are they. There's the back. I'm very pleased with them. This came about because at like the craft night I go to it once a month. It's held at the shop of Beyond Measure. So some of you might know it's a Sewing Notion shop online run by a lady called Grace, and I'm really lucky that the bricks and mortar shop is just like a few miles down the road, and they do a monthly like craft night. So it's not just knitting, it's any sort of handcraft, quiet handcraft, and lots of ladies go. It's really good. And last time, or maybe the time before, I was chatting to somebody saying, oh, I really want to learn to make knickers. I think it'd be a really good thing to do. And it's one of those things that is definitely loads cheaper to make than they are to buy. And one of the ladies at the craft group, Catherine, said, oh, I can show you how to make knickers if you want. And about 3 or 4 of us went, oh, yes, please. So really kindly, she gave up some of her time on Saturday morning, and Grace let us use the shop as a space, and she was learning to make knickers too. And yeah, we got together and we made a pair of knickers out of old t-shirts and fold over elastic. So this is an old t-shirt of my son's, which I think was a hand-me-down t-shirt from my nephew, and I'm really pleased with the sort of 70s vibe. Like, I feel I need a roller disco and some roller boots. And Catherine had some really cool tags, can you see that she let us have, and I felt that one fitted really well. It was good actually. We didn't use a pattern. She showed us how to make a pattern out of your favourite pair of knickers, so I am hoping that they fit really well, and that I'll be able to make some more. So that's that. Okay, so what from those, sorry, my cat's just come in and distracted me. What's come out of the skirt and the knickers is that it's really nice to sew things with other people. It's nice to sew or knit or make alongside other people as part of a group. And you can do that through Instagram or through YouTube or through the internet as part of make-alongs. And I've joined a few make-alongs over the years, but as I get more into the sort of the community here on YouTube and on Instagram, there's like, I'm aware of lots more make-alongs going on, and I kind of want to join all of them, but that's probably not sensible. Like, I do have other things that I have to do in life other than just make stuff, unfortunately. But there are a few that I'm going to take part in this year that I'm going to just talk about, one of which I've taken part in lots of times, and that's the Magic 3 make along that is run by Mimi, who you could find on Instagram as Yarn Chicks Podcast, and she has a podcast here on YouTube, or she also as Lead Fed, which is like the area in Berlin in which she lives, Wedding, and she does this make-along and has done for years, called the Magic 3 make-along, which is where you make 3 things for a child in your life, and a top, a bottom and a toy or an accessory. And she's very flexible. So in the past, for a top I've made a quilt, for the bottom I've made a pillow, or it can be socks, or it can be a dress, because that then goes on underneath a cardigan or something. And normally it runs from May till October or sometimes December, but this year she's decided she's going to run it across the whole year, which is really good. So I've already made quite a few things that I can include in that make-along. I made a penguin for my son. I don't think I've shown that, so I'll put a picture up. That was for his birthday in February. Obviously, I've made the socks for my daughter. I've made that vest for my daughter. I've made this skirt for my daughter. So I've already got a set in amongst all of those things. So what you do is you make them, you do a flat lay of them. She doesn't want people to feel obligated to put pictures of their children in. So you just do a flat lay, and that's it. You're an entry into the prizes. So I will be doing that again this year, and I'm quite pleased to have it across the whole year, because my kiddos' birthdays don't fall within that May to 1st of October date. My daughter's beginning of October, but the others are all in winter, so that's when I have a big rush, so they don't always fall into the make-along time. So that's great. A second make-along, I've got them written down, is that I've already sort of started joining in, although I haven't posted yet, is the Year of the Cardigan make-along by Stitch Witchcraft, which I mentioned last time. And yeah, I've got two cardigans on the go, because I've got the heirloom patchwork cardigan that I showed the patches for last time, and I've also got a Leith cardigan, which is a pattern by Rebecca of the Crayer Bayer, that I'm knitting up in my hand dyed yarn, my naturally dyed yarn. So I showed that last time, and I said that this was my plan for it, and I have got going. I had to change the pattern slightly, only insofar as that I knit it in pieces, because to do the intarsia, I didn't do the pattern is striped within an intarsia switch at the back, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted each sort of panel in a different colour, like a colour blocked version. But I didn't want to knit the front, the back and the front holding 4 different balls of yarn. So I decided to separate it out and seam it, which is what I've done. Can I show it? There you are. The colours are not showing up very well. You can see the change in the back. So this yellow here, that's quite a good view of it. Oh, it's a bit darker than that. That is onion skin, and then I have madder tops, so the tops off the madder plant. This is eucalyptus, and this pale pink on the front, like a peach pink, is birch bark. And then the bottom, I have like a terracotta-y pink on that side, and then this is the birch bark again. So they've got like a multicoloured ribbon. So that's where I'm up to now. It's not been the smoothest process. I've made a few mistakes along the way, but I am slightly worried that the armhole feels a bit small, but we'll see once I've put the sleeves in. So that's where I'm up to. I'm going to knit one sleeve in, I talked about it last time, I need to hold the yarn double, I think, because I went into it, there was a whole thing about me not being able to get the same yarn, so I had to get one that was slightly thinner, and I think I'm going to hold it double with a sock yarn that I dyed in the same dye bath, and they're both birch bark again, but they seem a bit more peachy, whereas the birch bark on the front of this is quite a pale pink colour. I'll try and put a picture up with with the colours showing up better. I think it's suddenly got really bright, like we're actually having a sunny, so can I move that way, a sunny day. So there you go, you can see all the different colours, sort of. You can see that there's a change in colour anyway. This is being referred to in our house as my Battenburg cardigan, because it's all different shades of pink and yellow. I'm sure you all know what that cake is. And yeah, where it joins at the shoulders, you can see it's like a Battenburg cake. So I'm quite pleased with it. But anyway, so the one arm is going to be knitted in that birch bark, the slightly peachier birch bark. I don't know about the other shoulder. I think I'll probably have to dye some more yarn to go for that one. And I'm thinking I might go for a darker orange. I've got some Dyer's Coreopsis flowers in my freezer that I grew and picked last year, so I might try with that, although that could come out a bit strong. I'll have to be careful, but that's my plan. So this can go into the year of the cardigan make along, but it can also fall into a make along being run by a lady on Instagram who is called Merry Weather Living, and she is having a botanical make along. Now, actually, that doesn't start till the 1st of May, so I don't know if whips are included. I might not be able to include it in that. But basically, the make along is it can be any craft, not just knitting, and it's for things that are botanically inspired. So like naturally dyed yarn and fabric is included, but also then knitting patterns or sewing patterns or embroidery patterns that have a sort of botanical inspiration. So it might have a floral motif on it. She has done she's got a YouTube channel as well, and she's done a video that explains like her inspiration for it and all the different things that you could include, and she's actually put in a load of knitting patterns that she feels are botanically inspired, so that you can get an idea of different things that you could do. So I'm hoping that whips are allowed and this can be included, but if not, I do have all that sock yarn that I showed you last time that is botanically dyed, naturally dyed, that would count. So I'm going to be doing that anyway, so I might as well join in that mile. It's not like adding extra burden to myself. So those miles are all fine. They're all things that I'm already including. But then there was one that I really wanted to join in with, but it would require starting something new. And that is the DRK March to May knit along. So I'm sure you all know Andrea Renee Knits, or Andrea Mowry. She's here on YouTube and she's on Instagram. She is a really, really well-known pattern designer. Yeah, I'm sure everybody knows who she is if you're interested in knitting. I have never knitted one of her patterns before, but I've had a few in my like favourites on Ravelry for a while, and I was watching one of her YouTubes when she was talking about this make-along. She holds loads of different make-alongs, and she was talking about this March to May, which I think she does every year when you knit one of her bigger patterns, so a shawl or a jumper. And I'm very aware it's mid-April and I've only just started. I was thinking, should I do this? Is this silly? Like, I've got lots of things on my needles. Should I really be casting on a new sweater? And am I going to get it done in 6 weeks? Because it has to be a finished object to sort of qualify for the prizes of the make along. Not that it matters if I don't finish it. It's more like as motivational. So anyway, I decided that yes, I would go for it, because I had the jumper in mind and I had the yarn that I wanted to knit it. I'd already swatched, so I knew that it would, I've had to change needle sizes, but I knew that I'd got gauge. So I just decided to go for it. And I've actually done quite a lot, because you know what it's like when you cast on something new and that's all you want to knit on. So it's just a yoke at the minute. I'm about half an inch away from splitting for sleeves. Again, sorry, the colours aren't showing up very well, because, can you, if I hold it right up, can you see there's like a bit of a colour change? So this yarn, I'll explain, it's a few different ones held together. The collar is in these two together, quite into colour blocking at the moment. And so I've decided that I'll do all the ribbon in these two. This is Filcolania Alva and Filcolania Tilia. That's the silk mohair. And this is an alpaca, 100% alpaca. Really nice and soft. I can't quite remember what the colourways were. I think they were like chai and cardamom, something like that. They've got sort of a camely. It's got numbers. So the Tilia is 364 and the Alva is 208. And so they're being held double for the ribbon, and then the mohair and this yarn is being held double for the body. This is Concept by Katia Sinfonia in its colour 202, which is sort of different shades of camels and browns, and then this very pale pink. Oh, there you go, that looks. And it's got a sort of white core running through it. And this is 29% cotton, 25% alpaca, 25% wool, and 21% polyamide. I don't know why I've got this wool. I don't know when I bought it, what I bought it for. It is not the sort of thing that I would normally go for. I do like the colours, but beyond that, I don't really like colour changing yarn. As my experience with those socks tells you, I don't really, because I find it gets a bit stripy. I particularly don't like it when you get loads of those little micro stripes like in this. It's just not my thing. I think they always look nicer in the skein or in the ball than they actually do knitted up. And also, I don't normally buy anything. Nowadays, I wouldn't buy anything with plastic in. But anyway, I have it, and the two held together fits that sport weight gauge for the Stripes jumper by Andrea Mowry. So that jumper, if you look at it, is actually proper stripes, like scrappy stripes. Mine's not. It's one yarn, well, two yarns held together throughout, but because it's colour changing, we will get a stripe, and because I'm holding it with the mohair, that's all kind of softened down. You see, does that, no? I'll try and put a picture in. The sunlight is not my friend, but I'm not complaining because I am so pleased to have a day without rain. Like yesterday we had bits of sun like this and then it would hail. So I'm really hoping that this is the beginning of spring now in mid-April. Anyway, so that's where I'm up to. That's a new cast on, but it's going quite quickly. I think in the pattern it's knit on 4.75mm needles. I've gone up to 4mm needles to get gauge. The yarn is really soft and drapey. The gauge is quite soft and drapey. So I'm a bit worried it's going to pill, if I'm honest, with it being soft and fluffy. I think really soft yarn does pill really easily, but we shall see. I'm hoping it'll be nice. The reason it's a bit cheeky of me to cast on a new jumper is, one, I've got lots of things on the go. I've got that heirloom quilt cardigan, I've got this Leith cardigan, and I've got my Helix pullover, which I have made progress on, but I'm not showing because it's in the naughty corner at the minute. I've got up to the sleeve separation, so I'm knitting fully in the round, and then right at the front, just about here, I've made a mistake and I'm going to have to go, I don't know what I've done. It's just like an ugly bit in the lace. I've obviously done something wrong, but I'm going to have to go back, work backwards to get back to it and fix it. And I've done like that much and it took me forever because I keep messing up undoing all the yarn overs for the lace. And so I've kind of put it in the side. I'm trying to move so I've not got that sun in my face. I've put it to one side because I'm grumpy with it, but I will pick it up next week probably. I've got quite a lot on this week and I don't think I will have like quiet time to just sit and focus and concentrate on it, which is what I need. So probably next week I'll get to that. I need to do it rather than just shove it to one side. That poor wool, this is already the second jumper it's in, and I can't, like, I made a mistake on the first jumper that I was knitting it with and it got shoved to the side for a year and kind of ignored. So I do really want it. I will go back and fix it, but I just need like a peaceful brain in order to do that. But the main reason I shouldn't have casted on this jumper is that I do have to cast on another one, and in my mind I had the cast on date for that being the 1st of May, and that's because it is a birthday present for my stepmom, who is going to be 60 in August. So I do have quite a long time, but I want to get it done. I want to make sure it's done on time. She asked me last year if I would knit her something, and so I said that I would do it for this birthday because it's a big birthday. And we had a very happy evening one evening going through like knitting books and through Ravelry and different like knitting designers pages, so like Liner magazine and all sorts, so she could pick, and she has picked. It isn't necessarily the thing that I would pick that I'm really keen to knit, because I'm not, but she really wants it and it will really suit her, so I'm just gonna have to grit my teeth and get through it. She has chosen the Frost Sweater, which is a pattern by Emily Foden, who is Viola Knits, I think is the name of her company. She's a yarn dyer and she produced this book called Knits About Winter, and the pattern that my stepmom has chosen is this. It's, you see it, the Frost Sweater. It is knit in pieces and it is knit entirely out of mohair, and parts of it, if you saw, there was like a main colour and then a lighter colour, and that is actually one strand of the lighter colour mohair like marled with the darker colour mohair that's knit for the main body. I mean, you could flip it and do it the other way, but that's the way Di's chosen. And the two colours we've gone for are these two. Sorry, I've got a new tablet computer and the camera is in a different place from my old one, so I keep showing things in the wrong place. So it's knitting for Olive, soft mohair, and we've got dusty olive. That's going to be the main colour. So it's the same colour that I knitted that Tolster tea in out of pure silk, but it's you know, different yarn bases take things differently, and it's much lighter. It's nice, it's really nice. And then this is the lighter colour, which is not really showing up. It's fennel seed, which is a really pale, not limey, but a lighter green, and I think the two together will look really pretty. So that has to be my next cast on. I'm going to try and do it around about the beginning of May, but I would like to have something off my needles before I start it. So either the Leith cardigan, the Battenburg cardigan, or this Andrea Mowry one. I don't know whichever. I think, as I say, I'm about to split for sleeves, so the body of that stripes is easy. It's just round and round and round and round and round. So that'll be like telly knitting or craft group, which I've got this week knitting, because you don't have to think about it. And then it'll just be sleeves on both. I think the thing that'll take the time with the Leith cardigan is picking up is the button band. In the pattern, Rebecca has it as a double knit button band, but I don't think I'm going to do that because it'll take a while, but also it's really chunky wool that I'm knitting it in. I'm slightly off gauge, and it's a really sturdy wool, and I think it will just look too much, the double knit. So I think I'm probably going to do ribbing, but that means I have to pick up all the stitches all the way around, which I can feel myself procrastinating about already, but I will do it. So that's where we are. That's what I've done, what I'm currently doing, and what I hope to do. I hope that wherever you are, you have sunshine, and I hope that you have something good and some time to make it, and that you enjoy it. Okay, take care. Thanks very much. Bye.